She stole his business idea and pitched it to investors as her own. One of those investors was his college roommate. "Nathan, you need to stop being so paranoid about sharing ideas. No one is going to steal your precious startup concept. Besides, I already sent the pitch deck to a few investors this morning. They loved it. This is our big break." Those were the chilling words Amanda Brooks said to her husband over breakfast, casually sipping her coffee while destroying his world. She had no idea that one of those investors was his college roommate who knew exactly who created that revolutionary idea. What happened next will make you question everything you think you know about trust, betrayal, and karma. Viewers, have you ever trusted someone so completely that you shared your dreams with them, only to watch them steal those dreams and claim them as their own? What would you do if the person you loved most became your biggest enemy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The coffee shop on Fifth Avenue hummed with the usual morning rush. Laptops glowed on every table. The smell of espresso mixed with ambition hung thick in the air. Nathan Brooks sat in the corner booth, his worn notebook spread open before him, pages filled with diagrams, code snippets, and business projections that represented 3 years of work. At 34 years old, Nathan had the kind of quiet intensity that people often mistook for shyness. Dark hair perpetually messy from running his hands through it while coding. Blue eyes that lit up only when discussing technology. The kind of man who could spend 16 hours debugging code and call it a good day. Amanda slid into the seat across from him, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her phone screen. Even at 9 in the morning, she looked camera-ready. Blonde hair styled in loose waves, designer workout clothes that had never seen a gym. The kind of woman who turned heads without trying. "Still working on that app?" she asked, barely glancing up from her Instagram feed. "It is not just an app," Nathan said quietly, his voice carrying the patience of someone who had explained this 100 times. "It is a complete platform that uses artificial intelligence to connect small businesses with micro-investors. Think of it as a democratized venture capital system. Anyone with $50 can invest in their local bakery or coffee shop and get actual returns." Amanda finally looked up, and for a moment, Nathan saw something flicker in her eyes. Interest. Not in him, but in what he had just described. "That actually sounds really cool," she said, leaning forward. "Like Kickstarter, but with real equity?" "Exactly." Nathan's face brightened. This was the first time in months she had shown genuine interest in his work. But better. The AI algorithm matches investors with businesses based on risk tolerance, community impact, and growth potential. It is completely automated after the initial setup. "Have you talked to any investors yet?" "Not yet. I want to have the prototype finished first, maybe another 2 months of development." He flipped through his notebook, showing her wireframes and user flow diagrams. "I have been working with this developer in Portland. She is helping with the back-end architecture." "She?" Amanda's tone sharpened almost imperceptibly. "Kelly Morrison. She is brilliant. Graduated from MIT 2 years ago." Nathan did not notice the way Amanda's jaw tightened. "She has been helping me refine the machine learning algorithms." Amanda smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "You should let me help with the business side. I do have an MBA, remember? Marketing, investor relations, that is my specialty." Nathan hesitated. Amanda had gotten her MBA from a good school, but she had never actually used it. The degree hung on their apartment wall next to her undergraduate diploma, both gathering dust while she pursued her lifestyle influencer career. "I appreciate it," he said carefully, "but I want to keep this close until it is ready. You know how startup culture is. Someone overhears one conversation, and suddenly your idea is on TechCrunch with someone else's name attached. I am your wife, Nathan, not some random person at a networking event." Her voice had an edge now. "Don't you trust me?" "Of course I trust you." The words came automatically, programmed by 3 years of marriage. "I just need to do this myself, prove I can build something from nothing." Amanda stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "Fine. Keep your precious secrets. I have a lunch meeting anyway." She left without kissing him goodbye. Nathan watched her go, that familiar knot forming in his stomach. The same knot that appeared whenever he disappointed her, which seemed to be more and more often lately. He turned back to his notebook, losing himself in code and calculations. If he could just finish the prototype, if he could just prove the concept worked, maybe then she would understand. Maybe then she would look at him the way she used to, back when they first met, and he was working at a prestigious tech company instead of chasing dreams in coffee shops. What Nathan did not know was that Amanda had already taken photos of his notebook while he was in the bathroom. Every page, every diagram, every line of code and business projection. She had what she needed. 2 weeks later, Nathan came home to find Amanda in their home office, the door locked. He knocked gently. "Just a minute," she called out, her voice strangely high-pitched. When she finally opened the door, her laptop screen was dark, but he could see the reflection of a video call in her glasses. Multiple faces in tiny squares. "Were you on a call?" he asked. "Just some influencer stuff, brand partnership things." She brushed past him, heading to the kitchen. "Did you pick up groceries?" "Yeah, they are in the car. I will grab them in a second." Nathan glanced into the office. Her notebook was open on the desk, filled with his handwriting. No, not his handwriting, hers. But the words, the ideas, those were his. His heart rate picked up. He walked to the desk, picking up the notebook. It was his business plan, word for word, but transcribed in her neat, looping script. His wireframes redrawn, his financial projections reformatted in colorful spreadsheets. "Amanda?" His voice came out strangled. She appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. "What? What is this?" He held up the notebook. "Oh, that." She shrugged. "I have been thinking about what you said, about your app idea. It really is brilliant, Nathan. So I have been putting together some materials, polishing the pitch, making it investor ready. You have been copying my work. I have been improving your work. You are a great developer, but you are terrible at selling. Someone needs to make this presentable to real investors." She took the notebook from his hands. "I sent out some preliminary pitches this morning. We have 3 meetings scheduled for next week." Nathan felt the room tilt. "You did what? You should be thanking me. Do you know how hard it is to get investor meetings? I used all my connections from business school. These are serious people, Nathan. Venture capitalists who could write us a check for $5 million without blinking." "Us?" The word barely made it past his lips. "Of course, us. We are married. We are a team." She smiled, that bright, empty smile he was starting to recognize. "I am going to be the CEO. You will be the Chief Technology Officer. It makes sense. I have the business background. You have the tech skills. This is my idea." His hands were shaking now. "I have been working on this for 3 years." And it was going nowhere. Her voice turned sharp. "You were going to tinker with it forever in coffee shops while we burned through our savings. I am making this happen. You should be grateful." Nathan stared at the woman he married, really seeing her for the first time. The calculation in her eyes, the way she held his notebook like it belonged to her, the complete absence of guilt. "Who are the investors?" he asked quietly. Amanda walked back to her laptop, pulling up an email. "Reynolds Capital, Summit Ventures, and Foster Daniels Group. The Foster Daniels meeting is the big one. Apparently the founder is some tech prodigy who sold his first company for $200 million at 29. If we get him, everyone else will follow." Foster. The name hit Nathan like ice water. "Brian Foster?" "Yeah, how did you know?" Amanda looked at him curiously. Nathan sat down hard in the desk chair. "Brian Foster?" His college roommate at Stanford. The guy who had lived across the hall from him for 4 years, who had pulled all-nighters with him during finals, who had been the best man at his wedding. They had lost touch after graduation. Brian went into venture capital, making money hand over fist. Nathan went into corporate tech, playing it safe. They had exchanged a few emails over the years, but life had pulled them in different directions. Brian would recognize this idea. Nathan had spent countless late nights their senior year talking about democratizing investment, about using technology to give ordinary people the same opportunities as wealthy venture capitalists. It had been his dream even then. "When is the meeting with Foster Daniels?" Nathan asked, his voice carefully neutral. "Friday, 2 in the afternoon at his office downtown." Amanda was already moving on, pulling up PowerPoint slides. "I am going to wear my navy suit, the one that makes me look authoritative. I will come with you." She paused, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Actually, I think it is better if I go alone for the first meeting. You know how you get in these situations, all nervous and technical. We need to sell the vision first, then bring in the developer." "The developer?" Nathan repeated. "That is what I am now?" "Nathan, don't be dramatic. This is a partnership. 50-50. I am just the face of the company because I am better at that stuff." She turned back to her presentation, effectively dismissing him. "Can you order dinner? I need to finish these slides." Nathan walked out of the office in a daze. In the kitchen, he pulled out his phone and searched for Brian Foster's contact information. It took 20 minutes of searching old emails before he found it. He stared at the number for a long time before typing out a text message. "Brian, it is Nathan Brooks from Stanford. I know it has been years, but I need to talk to you about something urgent. My wife is pitching you an idea on Friday. That idea is mine. I have proof. Can we meet before then?" He hit send before he could second-guess himself. The reply came 30 seconds later. "Nathan Brooks. I was wondering when you would reach out. Friday meeting is already interesting. Let us talk tomorrow. Coffee at 10. I will send you the address." Nathan exhaled slowly, feeling something shift in his chest. Not quite hope, but the possibility of it. In the other room, Amanda was humming while she polished his stolen dreams into her own success story, unaware that she had made one critical mistake. She had chosen the one investor in the entire city who would recognize the truth. The coffee shop Brian chose was nothing like the chains Nathan usually worked from. It occupied the ground floor of a converted warehouse in the Arts District, all exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of place where meetings happened that changed people's lives. Nathan arrived 15 minutes early, ordering a black coffee he did not drink. His leg bounced under the table, nervous energy seeking escape. He had not slept, had spent the entire night organizing his evidence, 3 years of dated notebooks, emails to Kelly about the platform development, GitHub repositories with timestamps. Everything that proved this idea was his. At exactly 10 o'clock, a man walked through the door who was both familiar and completely different from Nathan's memories. Brian Foster had filled out since college, his lanky frame now solid with the confidence of success. His hair was shorter, professionally styled. The ripped jeans and band t-shirts replaced by dart jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than Nathan's monthly rent. But when he smiled, Nathan saw his old friend again. Nathan Brooks. Brian crossed the space in long strides, pulling Nathan into a hug that caught him off guard. "Man, it has been too long. What, 8 years? 9. Nathan found himself smiling despite everything. "You look good. Success suits you." "So do you. You finally grew into those ears." Brian flagged down a barista, ordering something complicated before sitting across from Nathan. "Okay, let me guess. Your wife is Amanda Brooks, formerly Amanda Hartley, graduated from Wharton 3 years ago, currently building an influencer brand with moderate success. Approximately 37,000 Instagram followers, engagement rate hovering around 3.2%. Nathan blinked. "You researched her." "I research everyone who wants my money. It is good business." Brian's expression turned serious. "But here is the interesting part. When her pitch deck landed in my inbox Monday morning, I recognized the idea immediately." "You did? Nathan, you spent our entire senior year talking about democratizing venture capital. You wrote your thesis on using artificial intelligence to reduce investment barriers for small businesses. You literally described this exact platform in our dorm room while eating cold pizza at 2 in the morning." Brian pulled out his phone, swiping through files. "I went back through old emails. Found one from 7 years ago where you outlined the basic concept and asked if I thought it was viable." Nathan's throat tightened. "I forgot I sent you that." "I did not. Told you then it was brilliant, but you needed to flesh out the technical architecture." Brian met his eyes. "So imagine my surprise when your wife's pitch deck shows up, claiming she developed this revolutionary platform herself. No mention of a technical co-founder. No mention of you at all. She said she was going to make me the chief technology officer. Generous of her. giving you a job working on your own idea." Brian's voice carried an edge Nathan had never heard before, something cold and calculating. "Here is what I know. Your wife has not written a line of code in her life. Her MBA thesis was about social media marketing strategies for luxury brands. She has zero technical background and zero startup experience, yet she is pitching a complex AI platform that requires serious engineering chops. She copied everything from my notebooks while I was working on it." "Figured as much?" Brian leaned back, his eyes never leaving Nathan's face. "So here is my question. What do you want to do about it?" Nathan had been asking himself that same question all night. The obvious answer was divorce, lawyers, fighting over intellectual property and splitting assets. Years of bitter legal battles that would drain his savings and his soul. But there was another option forming in his mind. Something darker. Something that felt like justice. "I want to let her pitch," Nathan said slowly. "I want her to stand in front of you and the other investors and claim this is her idea, and then I want to prove she is lying." Brian's smile was sharp enough to cut. "Now we are talking. Tell me what you need." They spent the next 2 hours planning. Brian pulled up Amanda's pitch deck on his tablet, and Nathan walked him through every element, showing Brian his original notebooks with matching content, dated months before Amanda had even known about the project. "The technical specifications in her deck are almost word for word from my development notes," Nathan said, pointing to a particularly complex section about the machine learning algorithms. "She does not even understand what half of these terms mean. If someone asks her to explain how the risk assessment matrix works, she will not be able to answer." "Oh, I will definitely ask." Brian made notes on his tablet. "What about the other investors? Reynolds and Summit? I do not know them." "I do. Let me make some calls." Brian's fingers flew across his phone screen. "This pitch meeting is going to be very interesting." "She cannot know I talked to you," Nathan said urgently. "If she suspects anything, she will cancel the meeting or change her story. She will not suspect a thing. I am just another potential investor doing his due diligence." Brian stood, extending his hand. "Nathan, I am sorry you are going through this, but I am going to help you get your idea back. And your wife? She is going to regret thinking she was smarter than both of us." Nathan shook his hand, feeling something like relief flood through him. He was not alone anymore. The next 3 days passed in a strange, dreamlike state. Nathan watched Amanda prepare for her big meeting with the detachment of someone observing a car accident in slow motion. She tried on 6 different outfits, practiced her pitch in the mirror, rehearsed answers to potential questions using talking points she had found on entrepreneur blogs. "What if they ask about the back-end infrastructure?" Nathan ventured Wednesday night. "I will tell them we are using cloud-based microservices architecture with containerized deployment." She said it like she was reading from a script, which she probably was. "That sounds right, doesn't it?" "Sure." He did not tell her that was the vaguest possible answer that said absolutely nothing about how the platform actually worked. Thursday evening, Amanda was on her laptop, making final adjustments to her slides. "Nathan, what was that thing you called the investment matching algorithm? The one with the fancy name?" "Adaptive Portfolio Optimization Engine." "Right, APOE?" She typed it into her presentation. "What does it do exactly?" "It uses machine learning to analyze investor behavior patterns and business performance metrics, then optimizes match recommendations in real time based on risk tolerance and expected return parameters." She stared at him blankly. "Can you dumb that down?" "It is like a really smart dating app for investors and businesses." "Perfect. That is much better." She typed in the simplified version. "See, this is why we make a good team. You do the complex stuff. I make it simple enough for normal people to understand." Nathan said nothing. Let her believe what she wanted. In less than 24 hours, she would learn the truth. Friday morning arrived with clear skies and unseasonably warm weather. Amanda left the apartment at noon, giving herself 2 hours to prepare mentally for the meeting. Nathan waited 15 minutes, then left as well. He had his own meeting scheduled. Brian had arranged for them to meet at Foster Daniels Group's office an hour before Amanda's appointment. When Nathan arrived, he found Brian waiting in a private conference room with 2 other men. Nathan Brooks, meet Tom Reynolds from Reynolds Capital and David Chen from Summit Ventures. The men stood, shaking Nathan's hand. They were both in their 50s, wearing expensive suits that spoke of decades in the venture capital world. "Brian filled us in on the situation," Reynolds said, his voice carrying a hint of Boston accent. "I have to say, in 30 years of doing this, I have seen a lot of shady behavior. But stealing your own husband's idea? That is a new level of cold." "We see a lot of pitch decks," Chen added. "The good ones have a clear technical founder who can speak authoritatively about their product. Your wife's deck reads like a marketing presentation. All sizzle, no steak." "That is because it is my steak," Nathan said. "She just added the sizzle." Brian gestured to the large monitor on the wall. "Show them what you have got." Nathan pulled out his laptop, connecting it to the screen. For the next 45 minutes, he walked through his development process. The original concept sketches from 3 years ago, the iterations and pivots as he refined the idea. The technical architecture documents, the actual working prototype he had built with Kelly's help. "Wait," Reynolds interrupted, "you have a working prototype?" "Limited functionality, but yes. It has been live for 2 weeks with 10 test businesses and 50 investors." Nathan pulled up the dashboard, showing real data flowing through the system. The AI is already successfully matching investors with businesses and predicting returns within a 7% margin of error. The 3 investors exchanged looks. "And your wife knows about this prototype?" Chen asked. "Not. She thinks I am still in the planning stages. I did not tell her I had actually built it." Nathan minimized the window. "I kept it secret because I knew she would try to take credit for it." "Smart move." Brian checked his watch. "She will be here in 10 minutes. Here's how we're going to play this. We let her do her full pitch. We ask softball questions, act interested, make her think she is nailing it. Then, right when she is feeling most confident, we bring you in." "What if she just leaves?" Nathan asked. "She won't." Brian smiled. "Because we are going to tell her we want to invest $50 million. The conference room Amanda walked into at 2 o'clock was designed to impress. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a glass table that could seat 20, leather chairs that cost more than most cars, and 3 of the most powerful venture capitalists in the city waiting to hear what she had to say. She felt a thrill run through her. This was what she had been waiting for, her moment, proof that she was more than Nathan's wife, more than a pretty face on Instagram. She was a founder, an entrepreneur, someone who could command a room full of powerful men. "Gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite her pounding heart, "thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I am going to show you something that will fundamentally change how Americans invest their money." For the next 30 minutes, she delivered Nathan's pitch flawlessly. She walked them through the market opportunity, the competitive landscape, the technical innovation, and the business model. She used all his data, his projections, his ideas, presenting them with the confidence of someone who believed her own lies. Brian asked questions about the technology. She deflected smoothly, saying she had a technical team handling that side. Reynolds asked about market adoption strategies. She had practiced this answer, talking about social media marketing and influencer partnerships. Chen asked about the financial projections. She walked him through Nathan's carefully calculated numbers, claiming she had built the model herself. When she finished, the 3 men sat back in their chairs, exchanging glances. Amanda held her breath. "Miss Brooks," Brian said finally, "this is one of the most impressive pitches I have seen in years. The market opportunity is massive. The technology is revolutionary. The business model is sound." Amanda's heart soared. "There is just one problem," Brian continued, his tone shifting. "You did not invent any of it. The room temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. "Excuse me?" Amanda's voice came out higher than she intended. "The adaptive portfolio optimization engine you mentioned. Can you explain how it works?" "It is a proprietary AI algorithm that matches investors with businesses based on complex factors." "What factors specifically?" Amanda hesitated. "Risk tolerance, growth potential, community impact. Those are outcomes, not inputs." "What data does the algorithm analyze? What mathematical models does it use? What is the training data set?" She stared at him, her mind blank. You do not know, do you? Brian's voice was soft, almost gentle. Because you did not build it. You did not even understand what you were pitching. I have a technical team, Amanda stammered. I focus on the business side. Really? Then let us talk business. Reynolds leaned forward. Your deck claims you have identified 12,000 small businesses that would be early adopters. How did you identify them? What criteria did you use? What is your customer acquisition cost? Amanda's mouth opened and closed. I would need to check my notes. Your financial projections show break-even in month 18, Chen said. That assumes a very specific burn rate and growth trajectory. What are your biggest cost drivers? How did you calculate your unit economics? The questions came faster now, each one exposing another hole in her knowledge. Amanda felt panic rising in her chest. This was not how it was supposed to go. They were supposed to be impressed. They were supposed to hand her a check. Gentlemen, I can get you detailed answers to all these questions. She forced her voice to remain calm. I have documentation, do you? Brian stood, walking to the door. Because I have someone here who can answer every single one of these questions without notes. He opened the door. Nathan walked in. Amanda's world stopped spinning. For a moment, she could not process what she was seeing. Her husband, in this conference room, looking at her with an expression she had never seen before. Not anger, not hurt, just cold, absolute certainty. Nathan? Her voice came out as a whisper. What are you doing here? Saving my idea from being destroyed by someone who does not understand it. He set his laptop on the table, his movements calm and controlled. Gentlemen, I apologize for my wife's presentation. She is confused. This is not her platform. It is mine, and I can prove it. Nathan, no. Amanda found her voice, panic making it sharp. This is not what you think. Tell them we are partners. Tell them we built this together. We did not build anything together. Nathan pulled up his files on the large monitor. I built this alone over 3 years while you pursued your Instagram career. You found out about it 2 weeks ago, copied my work, and decided to cut me out entirely. Brian, Reynolds, and Chen watched silently as Nathan displayed his evidence. The dated notebooks, the email trails, the GitHub repositories with 3 years of commits showing continuous development, the working prototype that had been live for weeks. Everything in her pitch deck came from my notebooks, Nathan said, pulling up side-by-side comparisons. Same language, same data, same projections. She did not contribute a single original idea. She is a thief. That is not true. Amanda's voice broke. Nathan, we are married. What is yours is mine. That is how marriage works. Intellectual property does not work that way, Reynolds said coldly, especially when you actively misrepresented yourself as the sole creator. I can explain. Tears were streaming down Amanda's face now, her mascara running. Real tears or performative ones, Nathan could not tell anymore. I was just trying to help. You were never going to do anything with this idea. It was going to die in your notebooks. I made it real. I made it happen. I made it real. Nathan pulled up the working prototype dashboard. While you were taking credit for my work, I was actually building the product. It has been live for 2 weeks. We have real users, real data, real results. Something you would know if you had ever actually asked me how development was going, instead of just stealing my notes. How much money did you spend pitching to other investors using Nathan's work? Chen asked Amanda. She did not answer. We reviewed the trail, Brian said. She sent this deck to 37 different venture capital firms and angel investor groups over the past 2 weeks, claimed sole ownership at every meeting. That is fraud, Reynolds stated flatly. If she had secured funding based on these false claims, we would be talking about criminal charges. Amanda looked around the room, seeing her future collapse in real time. The investors who moments ago had been ready to hand her millions, now looked at her with disgust. Her husband, who she had used and dismissed, stood tall with evidence of her betrayal projected on the wall behind him. I want a divorce, Nathan said quietly, and I want full ownership of everything related to this platform. You will sign documents relinquishing any claim to intellectual property developed during our marriage. If you fight me on this, I will make sure every investor in this city knows what you did." "Nathan, please." Amanda reached for him across the table. "I am sorry. I made mistakes. But we can work through this. We are married." "We were married," he corrected. Past tense. "You destroyed that when you decided my life's work was yours for the taking." Brian cleared his throat. "Miss Brooks, I think it is time for you to leave. We have business to discuss with Mr. Brooks, the real founder." Amanda stood on shaking legs. Her designer suit suddenly felt like a costume, her practiced confidence shattered into pieces. She walked to the door, then turned back one last time. "You will never make it without me," she said, venom replacing tears. "You are not a businessman. You are just a coder who got lucky. This platform will fail, and you will spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been if you had just let me help you." Nathan met her eyes calmly. "I would rather fail on my own than succeed with someone I cannot trust. Goodbye, Amanda." The door closed behind her with a soft click. For a moment, the four men sat in silence. Then Brian laughed, the sound breaking the tension. "Well, that was even more dramatic than I expected." He turned to Nathan. "You okay?" Nathan exhaled slowly. "I will be." "Good." Reynolds pulled out his tablet. "Because we have a lot to discuss. Your prototype is impressive. Your technical architecture is solid. Your market analysis is thorough. And now that we know you are actually the person behind this, we are very interested in investing." "How much were you thinking?" Nathan asked. "How much do you need?" Chen countered. Over the next hour, they hammered out the basics of what would become a $15 million series, a funding round. Nathan would maintain majority ownership. Kelly would join as co-founder and CTO. They would hire a professional CEO with startup experience, someone who understood both the technical and business sides. "I do not want to be the face of the company," Nathan admitted. "I just want to build great products." "That is fine," Brian assured him. "We will find someone perfect for the role. Someone who earned their position instead of stealing it." As the sun set over the city, casting orange light through the conference room windows, Nathan felt something shift inside him. The weight of Amanda's betrayal still hurt, but underneath it was something lighter. Freedom. Possibility. The chance to build something real with people he could trust. His phone buzzed. A text from Kelly in Portland. "Heard through the grapevine you nailed the pitch. Congratulations, partner." He smiled, typing back. "Not just a pitch. The beginning of something real." 2 months later, Nathan stood in the newly leased office space for Brooks Investment Technologies. The name had been Brian's suggestion. Simple, professional, his. Kelly had moved to the city the week before, along with 3 engineers she had recruited from her MIT network. The office hummed with the sound of keyboards clicking and low conversations about code architecture. "This is surreal," Kelly said, appearing beside him with 2 cups of coffee. "Remember when it was just you and me on video calls at midnight? I remember you telling me I was insane for thinking we could actually build this. You proved me wrong." She clinked her coffee cup against his. To proving people wrong. The divorce had been finalized quickly. Amanda had signed away all claims to the intellectual property without a fight, too eager to escape the spotlight of her public humiliation. Word had spread through the tight-knit venture capital community about what she had done. Her influencer career had imploded when her followers learned about the fraud. The lifestyle she had built on appearances and borrowed credibility had crumbled overnight. Nathan felt no satisfaction in her downfall, just a quiet sense of justice. "Mr. Brooks?" A young woman knocked on his office doorframe. "The new CEO is here for his first day." Nathan turned, expecting to see the experienced executive the board had hired. Instead, he saw Brian Foster grinning like he had just pulled off the greatest prank in history. "Surprise," Brian said. "I sold my stake in Foster Daniels to my partners. Figured I would rather build something new than just fund other people's dreams. Hope you do not mind having a roommate again." Nathan laughed, the sound genuine and free. "You are insane, probably, but we are going to change the world together." Brian extended his hand. "Business partners?" Nathan shook it firmly. "Business partners." Through the office windows, the city stretched out before them, full of small businesses that needed capital, full of ordinary people with money to invest but no access to opportunities, full of potential waiting to be unlocked by the platform Nathan had dreamed about for years, built with his own hands and nearly lost to someone who saw it as nothing more than a shortcut to success. But he had not lost it. He had fought for it, with evidence and truth and the help of an old friend who remembered his dreams when someone else tried to steal them. 6 months after that first investor meeting, Brooks Investment Technologies launched publicly. Within 2 months, they had 40,000 registered businesses and 300,000 active investors. The platform that Amanda had tried to claim as her own was changing lives across the country. Nathan received hundreds of messages from small business owners who had secured their first real investment, from aspiring investors who had turned $50 into $500, from communities that had watched their local shops expand and thrive with neighborhood support. Late one night, working alone in his office, Nathan received an email from an address he did not recognize. The subject line read, "I am sorry." He almost deleted it, but curiosity won. "Nathan, I know you probably will not read this, but I needed to try. You were right about everything. I was selfish and greedy, and I destroyed the best thing in my life for the illusion of success. I am not asking for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. I just wanted you to know that watching what you built, what you accomplished without me, taught me something. Real success cannot be stolen. It has to be earned. I hope someday I will figure out how to earn mine. Amanda." Nathan read it twice, then closed the email without responding. Some apologies came too late. Some bridges once burned could not be rebuilt. But as he looked at the dashboard showing thousands of successful investments happening in real time, at the team of brilliant engineers and business professionals who had chosen to bet on his vision, at the future stretching bright and unlimited before him, Nathan realized something important. He did not need her apology. He had everything he needed already. The platform that was supposed to be stolen had instead become proof that the truth, eventually, always wins. Viewers, if you were Nathan, would you have accepted Amanda's apology? Do you think she got what she deserved, or did Nathan go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories of betrayal, justice, and triumph.